Maya Chen sat quietly in the doctor's office, her fingers nervously playing with the ends of her once thick black hair. At 16, she had always been proud of her long, shiny hair that reached the middle of her back. But over the past 3 months, she had watched in horror as clumps of it fell out each morning, leaving behind strange round patches of bare skin on her scalp. "It's confirmed, Maya. You have alopecia areata," Dr. Roberts said gently. "It's an autoimmune condition where your body attacks your hair follicles." Maya's mother reached over and squeezed her daughter's hand. "But there are treatments, right?" Dr. Roberts nodded, but her expression remained serious. "We can try steroid injections and topical treatments, but I need to be honest with you both. In some cases, especially in younger patients, alopecia can progress quickly." Maya barely heard the rest of the appointment. Words like unpredictable and no permanent cure floated around her, but all she could think about was starting junior year of high school in 2 weeks. The treatments didn't work. By the time school was about to start, Maya's condition had worsened to what Dr. Roberts called alopecia universalis, complete hair loss over her entire body. Her eyebrows were gone, her eyelashes too. The patches had spread and connected until most of her scalp was visible. "I look like a patchy mess," Maya cried one evening, staring at her reflection. "Everyone will stare at me." That night, Maya made a brave decision. She asked her father to shave off the remaining strands of her hair. "Are you sure, sweetheart?" he asked, his eyes full of concern. "Yes," Maya said firmly, though her voice shook. "If this is happening, I want to face it on my terms." Her father carefully ran the electric razor over her head, the last of her hair falling to the bathroom floor. When he finished, Maya looked at herself in the mirror for a long time. Her bare scalp looked alien to her, smooth and pale in some places, with a few stubborn patches of hair in others. "You are beautiful," her mother said, tears in her eyes. "And so brave." Maya wasn't sure she believed that, but she nodded anyway. The next day, Maya and her mother went shopping. They bought scarves, hats, and even a wig, though Maya found it itchy and unnatural feeling. Her mother also bought her new makeup to help her draw on eyebrows. "You don't have to wear any of these if you don't want to," her mother explained, "but it's good to have options." That night, Maya created an Instagram post. She took a deep breath and snapped a photo of herself, bald head and all. She wrote a simple caption: "New school year, new me. Hashtag alopecia, hashtag still me." Her finger hovered over the share button for several minutes before she finally pressed it. Within minutes, messages of support from her closest friends came pouring in. "You look fierce," wrote her best friend Layla. "Total warrior princess vibes," commented her cousin. But there were also some who simply left the shocked face emoji, and one person, someone Maya didn't recognize, who wrote, "Did you lose a bet?" Maya shut off her phone and tried to sleep, but her mind kept racing. Tomorrow was the first day of school. Would people stare? Would they whisper? Would they treat her differently? As she finally drifted off to sleep, Maya decided she would go to school with her head uncovered. If this was her new reality, she would face it head-on, but she packed a scarf in her backpack, just in case. Maya took a deep breath as she stood in front of Westlake High School. Students rushed past her, laughing and talking about their summer adventures. A few glanced at her, did double takes, and quickly looked away. Maya touched her bare head, fighting the urge to run back to her mom's car. "You've got this," she whispered to herself. As she walked through the main doors, the normal buzz of the hallway seemed to quiet down. Maya felt dozens of eyes on her. Some stares were curious, others sympathetic, and a few seemed almost afraid, as if her condition might be contagious. "Maya," a familiar voice called out. It was Leela, running toward her with open arms. "You look amazing. I love how you can see your face so clearly now." Maya smiled gratefully at her best friend. "Thanks for not making it weird." "Of course not. Now come on, we have homeroom together." As they walked down the hallway, Maya noticed a group of cheerleaders watching her. In the center stood Vanessa Carter, the cheerleading captain and one of the most popular girls in school. Vanessa's eyes narrowed as she whispered something to the girl beside her, causing several of them to giggle. "Just ignore them," Leela said, linking her arm through Maya's. In homeroom, their teacher, Mr. Gonzalez, didn't even blink when he saw Maya. He just smiled and said, Welcome back, everyone. Maya appreciated his normal treatment, but she could still feel her classmates stealing glances at her when they thought she wasn't looking. By lunchtime, word had spread about Maya's condition. Most students were kind, or at least polite enough to act normal around her. A few even complimented her bold new look, though Maya could tell they were just trying to be nice. You should join the school newspaper with me this year, Leela suggested as they ate lunch. You're an amazing photographer, and Miss Peterson already said she needs someone to cover sports and events. Maya considered this. Maybe it would be good to be behind the camera instead of in front of everyone's stares. Exactly. And we could work on assignments together. As they talked, Maya noticed Vanessa and her friends sitting a few tables away, occasionally looking over and laughing. When lunch ended, Maya had to walk past their table to throw away her trash. Hey, Maya, Vanessa called out, her voice sweet but her eyes cold. Loving the new look. So brave of you to show everyone your situation. Thanks, Maya replied stiffly, trying to move past. Just curious, Vanessa continued, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. Did you consider drawing some eyebrows on this morning, or is the alien look intentional? The cheerleaders erupted in giggles. Maya's face burned with embarrassment as she hurried away, hearing one of them say, maybe she's auditioning for the next Star Trek movie. In the bathroom, Maya stared at her reflection. She had spent an hour that morning carefully drawing eyebrows with the makeup her mother bought, but they looked fake and awkward. Tears stung her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Don't let them win, she told her reflection. After school, Maya signed up for the newspaper club. Miss Peterson, the faculty advisor, welcomed her warmly. We need someone with your eye for detail, she said. And your first assignment will be this Friday's football game. Maya's stomach dropped. The football game? Where all the cheerleaders will be. Is that a problem? Miss Peterson asked. Maya forced a smile. No, not at all. I can handle it. As she walked home that afternoon, Maya realized she would have to face Vanessa again soon. The thought made her stomach twist with anxiety, but also sparked a small flame of determination. She wouldn't let Vanessa's cruelty force her into hiding. I belong here too, Maya whispered to herself as she walked. Hair or no hair. The next few days passed in a blur for Maya. Some students continued to stare, but many had already grown used to her appearance. Maya found comfort in her routine and in focusing on her classes. The newspaper club became her safe haven, where she could immerse herself in photography and writing. Friday arrived too quickly. Maya stood on the sidelines of the football field, her camera hanging around her neck. The evening air was cool against her bare scalp. She had decided to go without a headscarf, though she'd tucked one into her bag just in case. Get some good action shots of the players, but also capture the crowd's energy, Miss Peterson had instructed. And don't forget the cheerleaders. They're a big part of school spirit. Maya's stomach tightened at the thought of photographing Vanessa and her squad. She positioned herself near the field, pretending to adjust her camera settings while stealing glances at the cheerleaders warming up nearby. Look who's here, she heard Vanessa say loudly. It's Photograph Girl. I guess they couldn't find anyone else willing to stand out in the cold. Maya pretended not to hear as she snapped photos of the football players' running drills. She tried to focus on her work, framing shots carefully and checking the lighting. Photography had always calmed her, and she wasn't going to let Vanessa ruin it. The game began, and Maya moved around the sidelines capturing the action. When halftime arrived, she knew she couldn't avoid the cheerleaders any longer. Taking a deep breath, she approached their section of the field as they prepared for their routine. Could I get some photos of your halftime performance for the newspaper? Maya asked, addressing the whole squad rather than Vanessa directly. Of course, one of the girls answered. We've been practicing all week. As Maya adjusted her camera settings, she overheard Vanessa talking to another cheerleader. God, it's like looking at an egg with eyes. Vanessa whispered, but loud enough for Maya to hear. Do you think if I drew a face on the back of her head, she'd even notice? The other girl laughed nervously. That's kind of mean, V. What? I'm just saying what everyone's thinking, Vanessa replied. Besides, if she didn't want attention, she should wear a hat or something. It's distracting. Maya's hands trembled slightly, but she steadied her camera and began taking photos of their routine. She was a professional, or at least trying to be. She wouldn't let Vanessa see how much the words hurt. After the performance, Maya checked her photos on her camera screen. Despite her emotional state, many of the shots were quite good. She even captured a perfect mid-air split from Vanessa. As she scrolled through the images, Vanessa appeared at her side. "Let me see," she demanded, reaching for the camera. "I need to edit them first," Maya said, pulling back. "Come on, alien head, I want to make sure I look good." Vanessa grabbed at the camera, causing Maya to stumble backward. "Don't touch my equipment," Maya said firmly, surprising herself with her confidence. Vanessa's eyes narrowed. "Whatever. Just make sure you use photos where I actually look good, or I'll tell everyone you deliberately tried to make the cheerleaders look bad because you're jealous." "Why would I be jealous?" Maya asked before she could stop herself. Vanessa laughed cruelly. "Please, look at you and look at me. It's obvious." As Vanessa walked away, Maya noticed the school newspaper editor, Zach, standing nearby with a frown on his face. "Don't listen to her," he said, approaching Maya. "Your photos are always the best in the paper." "Thanks," Maya replied, forcing a smile. "Seriously, Vanessa's just insecure. Everyone knows it." He glanced toward the cheerleaders. "And by the way, I think you look cool. Like a young Professor X, a way prayer." Maya laughed for what felt like the first time in days. Maybe not everyone at Westlake was as shallow as Vanessa. As she packed up her camera, Maya made a decision. She wouldn't let Vanessa's words define her experience at school. She had friends, she had her photography, and she had her dignity. What she didn't know was that Vanessa was already planning something that would test Maya's newfound strength to its limits. 2 weeks after the football game, posters for the winter formal appeared throughout Westlake High. The dance was a major event at school, second only to prom. Maya stared at the glittery blue snowflake design, unsure if she wanted to attend. "You have to go," Leela insisted during lunch. "We've been planning this since freshman year." "That was before." Maya gestured to her head. "So what? You look amazing. Even better than with hair, because now everyone can see your perfect face shape." Maya smiled at her friend's enthusiasm. "I'll think about it." Later that day, Maya overheard Vanessa in the hallway. "My dress is custom made," Vanessa boasted to her friends. "No one else will have anything like it." "Who are you going with?" someone asked. "Jason Miller asked me," Vanessa replied with a smug smile. "He's the quarterback, so it makes sense we go together." Maya tried to slip past unnoticed, but Vanessa spotted her. "Hey, Maya," she called out. "Are you going to the dance? I'm sure you could rock the bald alien look on the dance floor." The group laughed, and Maya hurried away, her cheeks burning. That evening, she told her parents she didn't want to attend the dance. "Sweetheart, don't let police take these experiences from you," her mother said gently. Maya looked down at her hands. "I don't have anything to wear anyway." The next weekend, Maya's mother took her shopping. They found a beautiful emerald green dress that complemented Maya's skin tone perfectly. Her mother also bought her a silk headscarf in a matching shade. "You don't have to wear it," she said. "But if you want to, it looks absolutely stunning on you." When the night of the winter formal arrived, Maya stood in front of her mirror, surprised by her reflection. The dress fit perfectly, and she had carefully applied makeup, including eyebrows that looked natural. After some consideration, she wrapped the silk scarf around her head in an elegant style her mother had taught her. "You look beautiful," her father said when she came downstairs. Maya met Layla and their other friends at the entrance to the school gym, which had been transformed with silver and blue decorations and twinkling lights. "Maya, you look amazing," Layla exclaimed. For the first hour, Maya actually enjoyed herself. She danced with her friends, laughed at Zach's terrible dance moves, and enjoyed the punch and snacks. Several people complimented her outfit, and she began to relax. Then she needed to use the restroom. "I'll come with you," Leela offered. "No, stay and dance with Ryan," Maya insisted, knowing her friend had been hoping for a slow dance with her crush. "I'll be right back." In the restroom, Maya was adjusting her headscarf when the door opened and Vanessa walked in with two other cheerleaders. They stopped when they saw Maya. Well, Vanessa said, her eyes gleaming with cruel intent. "If it isn't the girl trying to hide her little problem." Maya tried to move past them to leave, but the girls blocked the door. I'm curious, Vanessa continued. What are you hiding under there? Is it contagious? Leave me alone, Maya said firmly. I have alopecia. It's an autoimmune condition, and no, it's not contagious. Then you won't mind showing us, Vanessa said, reaching for Maya's scarf. Don't touch me. Maya stepped back, but she bumped into the sink. Before she could react, Vanessa grabbed the scarf and pulled it off Maya's head. The silk material slipped away easily, leaving Maya's bare scalp exposed under the harsh bathroom lights. Oh my God, it's even worse than I thought. Vanessa laughed, while one of her friends held up a phone, clearly taking photos. Maya felt tears burning in her eyes as she reached for her scarf, but Vanessa held it away from her. Please give it back, Maya whispered, her voice breaking. Why? Everyone should see the real you, Vanessa said, tossing the scarf into a sink and turning on the water. As the beautiful silk soaked in water, Maya pushed past the laughing girls and ran out of the bathroom. She didn't stop running until she reached the school entrance, where she called her parents, begging them to pick her up immediately. What Maya didn't know was that someone else had witnessed the entire incident, someone who would not stay silent about what Vanessa had done. By Monday morning, the photos of Maya without her headscarf had spread throughout Westlake High. Vanessa had posted them on social media with the caption, "The real reason aliens don't visit Earth, they're already here. #NoFilter, #JustSaying." Maya refused to go to school. She lay in bed, her phone buzzing constantly with messages from Leela and other friends asking if she was okay. She ignored them all. "Sweetheart, you can't hide forever," her mother said, sitting on the edge of Maya's bed. "Watch me," Maya replied, pulling the covers over her head. Her parents were worried. They had never seen their daughter so defeated. That afternoon, they received a call from Principal Donovan asking them to come to the school for a meeting, with or without Maya. "Something has happened," Principal Donovan explained when they arrived. "I think you should see this." He showed them an email from a student named Emma Reynolds, the school counselor's daughter. Emma had been in one of the bathroom stalls during the incident at the dance. The email contained a detailed account of what Vanessa and her friends had done to Maya, along with a recording Emma had made on her phone when she heard the confrontation beginning. "This is clearly bullying," Principal Donovan said firmly, "and we have a zero-tolerance policy. But I wanted to discuss with you how to handle this, considering Maya's situation." "Have you spoken to Vanessa and her parents?" Maya's father asked. "That meeting is scheduled for this afternoon. Vanessa will face consequences according to our bullying policy, which could include suspension." Maya's mother wiped away tears. "Our daughter is devastated. She won't even come to school." "I understand," Principal Donovan replied. "But there's something else you should know. Since this incident, several other students have come forward with stories about Vanessa's bullying behavior. It appears this wasn't an isolated incident. When Maya's parents returned home, they found their daughter still in bed, scrolling through her phone with a grim expression. "People are defending her," Maya said bitterly. "They're saying I shouldn't have come to the dance if I couldn't handle attention." Her mother sat beside her. "Vanessa is going to face consequences, Maya. The principal is taking this very seriously." "It doesn't matter," Maya replied. "The damage is done. Everyone has seen those pictures." That evening, Leela came to visit. She brought Maya's favorite ice cream and a small gift bag. "The newspaper team misses you," Leela said, handing Maya the bag. "This is from all of us." Inside was a beautiful silk headscarf in shades of blue and purple, along with a card signed by everyone on the newspaper staff. Maya's eyes filled with tears. "And there's something else," Leela added. "Zach called an emergency meeting today. The whole team agreed that we want to do a special feature on bullying for next month's issue." "Great," Maya said sarcastically, "so my humiliation will be front-page news." "No, that's not it at all," Leela insisted. "Zach thought maybe, only if you're comfortable, you might want to write something about alopecia and your experience. To educate people." Maya looked up, surprised. "Me? Write an article?" "You're an amazing photographer, but Zach's seen your writing in English class. He thinks you have something important to say." The idea settled in Maya's mind, stirring something that felt almost like purpose. The next day, Maya still refused to go to school, but she opened her laptop and began typing. The words flowed easily as she described her diagnosis, her fears, and the pain of Venus's bullying. She wrote about how society defines beauty and how losing her hair had forced her to redefine her own identity. What Maya didn't know was that while she was writing, Vanessa was sitting in the principal's office with her parents, facing consequences she never expected. And behind Vanessa's arrogant facade, a secret was about to be revealed that would change everything between the two girls. 3 days after the dance, Maya finally returned to school. She wore a new headscarf, the blue and purple one from the newspaper team, and kept her head high as she walked through the hallways. Many students offered sympathetic smiles or words of support. A few even apologized for laughing at the photos. Vanessa got suspended for a week, Leela informed her as they walked to class. And she has to do 40 hours of community service when she comes back. Maya nodded but said nothing. The punishment didn't undo the humiliation she had suffered. In the newspaper club that afternoon, Zach was excited about Maya's article. "This is powerful stuff," he said, holding the printout Maya had brought. "Are you sure you're okay with us publishing it?" Maya took a deep breath. "Yes, if it helps even one person understand what it's like, it's worth it." The team worked on layout for the special issue. They decided to place Maya's article alongside stories about other types of bullying and interviews with counselors about the psychological impact of such behavior. "We need a photo to go with your piece," Zach said. "Any ideas?" Maya thought for a moment. "I could take a self-portrait, without a headscarf." The room went quiet. "Are you sure?" Leela asked gently. "After everything that happened?" "I'm sure," Maya said, surprising herself with her confidence. "Vanessa wanted to expose me." "Fine, but it will be on my terms this time." That evening, Maya set up her camera at home. She took dozens of self-portraits, experimenting with lighting and angles. In the final image she selected, she looked directly at the camera, her bare head visible but not the focus. Instead, her eyes captured attention, strong, determined, unbroken. The following Monday, Vanessa returned to school. The popular cheerleader seemed subdued as she walked through the hallways. To everyone's surprise, many students who had once sought her attention now avoided her. Her humiliation of Maya had crossed a line that even her popularity couldn't protect her from. During lunch, Maya sat with the newspaper team, discussing the upcoming issue, when Ms. Peterson approached their table. "Maya, could I speak with you privately?" the teacher asked. In the hallway, Miss Peterson looked uncomfortable. "There's something you should know," she said quietly. "It's about Vanessa." Maya braced herself for more drama. "Her mother was diagnosed with breast cancer 2 months ago," Miss Peterson explained. "She started chemotherapy just before the winter formal. She's lost all her hair." Maya stared at her teacher, stunned. "What?" "Vanessa hasn't told anyone at school. Principal Donovan only found out during the meeting with her parents about the suspension. He felt you should know, given the circumstances." Maya's mind raced, suddenly seeing Venus's cruelty in a new light. So when she was bullying me about being bald, she was dealing with her mother's hair loss at home, Ms. Peterson confirmed. "It doesn't excuse her behavior, but it might help explain it." That afternoon, Maya couldn't focus on her classes. She kept thinking about Vanessa, imagining her watching her mother lose her hair while tormenting a classmate for the same condition. The irony was tragic. After school, Maya spotted Vanessa sitting alone on a bench outside, scrolling through her phone. The once popular girl looked isolated, her usual crowd of admirers nowhere to be seen. Maya hesitated, then walked over and sat down beside her. Vanessa looked up, surprise and wariness in her eyes. "What do you want?" Vanessa asked defensively. "Come to gloat about my suspension?" "No," Maya said quietly. "I heard about your mom. I'm sorry she's sick." Vanessa's face froze, her carefully maintained mask cracking slightly. For a moment, Maya glimpsed the scared girl behind the bully. "How did you?" Vanessa began, then shook her head. "It doesn't matter. Why would you even care after what I did to you?" Maya looked at her steadily. "Because I understand what it's like to watch someone you love lose their hair and wonder if they'll ever be the same person again." A single tear slid down Venus's cheek, which she quickly wiped away. Neither girl spoke for several long moments. The conversation wasn't over, far from it, but something had shifted between them, opening a door that neither had expected. The school hallways buzzed with whispers as Vanessa walked to her locker the next day. Her week of suspension had ended, but her social status had taken a dramatic fall. Former friends averted their eyes or gave her cold looks. The two cheerleaders who had been with her in the bathroom during the incident now sat at a different lunch table, clearly distancing themselves from the scandal. "She totally deserves it," a sophomore girl said loudly as Vanessa passed. "What kind of monster makes fun of someone with a medical condition?" Vanessa kept her head down, her face a mask of indifference, but inside she felt hollow. The conversation with Maya yesterday had shaken her more than she wanted to admit. During third period, the latest issue of the school newspaper was distributed. On the front page was Maya's article, titled "More Than My Hair, Living with Alopecia." Beside it was the striking self-portrait Maya had taken, her bare head visible, her eyes challenging the viewer to see beyond her condition. Vanessa stared at the photo, seeing painful parallels to her mother sitting at their kitchen table 2 nights ago, removing her wig and rubbing her sore scalp. "It's so hot and itchy," her mother had complained. "Sometimes I just want to go without it." At lunch, Vanessa sat alone, picking at her food without appetite. She could feel eyes on her from every direction. The whispers continued. "Did you see the newspaper? Maya's article made me cry. I can't believe what Vanessa did to her." Suddenly, a tray clattered down across from her. Vanessa looked up in shock to see Maya standing there. "Is this seat taken?" Maya asked calmly. The cafeteria went quiet as students noticed what was happening. Vanessa hesitated, then nodded silently. Maya sat down. "Your article," Vanessa began awkwardly. "It was really good." "Thank you," Maya replied. She took a bite of her sandwich, seeming perfectly comfortable despite the stares from around the room. "Why are you sitting with me?" Vanessa finally asked. "Everyone hates me now. You should hate me the most." Maya put down her sandwich. "Hate takes too much energy," she said simply. "And I think we might actually have something in common." Vanessa's eyes widened. What could we possibly have in common? "We both know what it's like to be afraid," Maya said quietly. "I was afraid of people judging me for my alopecia. You're afraid for your mom." Tears filled Vanessa's eyes before she could stop them. She quickly wiped them away, looking around to see if anyone had noticed. "How is she doing?" Maya asked gently. Vanessa hesitated, then answered in a low voice. "Not good. The chemo makes her so sick, and she hates losing her hair. She says it makes her feel like she's not herself anymore." Maya nodded. "I felt the same way at first, like my identity was connected to how I looked. My mom won't even look in the mirror now," Vanessa continued, the words pouring out after weeks of keeping everything bottled up. "Dad bought her expensive wigs, but she says they're uncomfortable. Has she tried scarves or hats? They can be more comfortable for everyday use," Maya suggested. "Maybe. I could show her some of yours." Vanessa paused, looking at Maya's headscarf. "You always make them look nice." It wasn't quite an apology, but Maya understood the effort it took for Vanessa to give even this small compliment. "Listen," Maya said. "What you did at the dance was cruel. You hurt me deeply, and I'm not saying it's okay." Vanessa looked down, shame coloring her cheeks. "But," Maya continued, "I also understand that you're going through something really hard right now. Sometimes pain makes people do terrible things." Vanessa looked up, her eyes red-rimmed. "I was so angry when my mom got sick, and then seeing you at school, dealing with your hair loss so openly. I think I just wanted someone to hurt as much as I was hurting." "I get it," Maya said simply. "Fear and pain can turn into anger pretty easily." As the lunch period ended, Maya stood up. "My mom and I are going to a support group for people with hair loss this Saturday. All kinds of causes, alopecia, chemo, everything. Your mom might find it helpful. You could both come, if you want." Vanessa stared at her, amazed by the offer. "Why would you help me after what I did?" Maya adjusted her headscarf. "Because someone helped me when I needed it. That's how it works." As Maya walked away, Vanessa sat still, realizing that the girl she had tormented was offering her a lifeline she desperately needed. 6 months passed since the winter formal incident. Spring gave way to early summer, and the halls of Westlake High buzzed with excitement about graduation and summer plans. Maya stood near the school entrance, adjusting her camera settings. The newspaper team had asked her to photograph the seniors last day, capturing their celebrations and tearful goodbyes. Her own hair had started to grow back in small patches, a development Dr. Roberts called spontaneous remission, though she warned it might be temporary. "Looking good, photographer," a familiar voice called out. Maya turned to see Zach walking toward her, graduation cap in hand. "Congrats, senior," Maya smiled. "Ready for your big speech, Mr. Valedictorian?" "As ready as I'll ever be," he laughed. "Don't forget to get my good side during the ceremony." As they chatted, Maya noticed Vanessa walking across the school lawn with her mother. Mrs. Carter wore a colorful blue headscarf, looking thin but smiling as she leaned slightly on her daughter's arm. "Excuse me a minute," Maya said to Zach, and walked toward the pair. Over the past months, Maya and Vanessa had developed an unexpected connection. It wasn't quite friendship. Too much had happened for that, but it was something meaningful. They had attended the hair loss support group together several times, and Vanessa had even started a fundraiser for cancer research at school. "Mrs. Carter, it's good to see you," Maya greeted Vanessa's mother. "How are you feeling?" "Better every day," Mrs. Carter replied, her smile warm. "The doctors say I'm responding well to treatment, and these scarves you showed me are so much more comfortable than that hot wig." Vanessa gave Maya a small, grateful smile. "Mom insisted on coming to see the graduation even though I told her she should rest." "And miss seeing all your friends?" "Not a chance," Mrs. Carter said firmly. The word friends caused a brief, awkward silence. Many of Vanessa's former friends had abandoned her after the bullying incident. The popular girl had experienced a humbling fall from social grace. But surprisingly, she had found new connections through the community service she'd been assigned as punishment. Vanessa now volunteered regularly at a children's hospital, helping young cancer patients deal with hair loss. "I should get going," Maya said. "Lots of photos to take before the ceremony." "Maya," Vanessa called as she started to walk away, "I've been meaning to tell you, that article you wrote. The hospital uses it now in their patient materials for teens with hair loss. The kids really connect with it." Maya's eyes widened. "Really? I had no idea." "Yeah," Vanessa nodded. "You helped more people than you know." 2 hours later, the graduation ceremony was underway. Maya moved around the edges of the crowd, capturing emotional moments between students and their families. When Zach took the stage as valedictorian, she positioned herself for the perfect shot. "High school teaches us many lessons," Zach began, "but perhaps the most important ones don't come from textbooks. They come from each other." Maya lowered her camera for a moment, listening as Zach spoke about resilience and compassion. In the audience, she spotted Vanessa sitting beside her mother. Mrs. Carter was removing her headscarf, revealing her bare scalp with just a light fuzz of new hair growth. Instead of hiding, she sat tall and proud, applauding Zach's words about courage. Vanessa noticed Maya watching and gave a small nod of acknowledgement. Both girls had been transformed by their shared experience, one learning humility and empathy, the other finding strength she never knew she possessed. As the ceremony ended and jubilant seniors tossed their caps into the air, Maya captured the moment with her camera. Then she lowered it and simply watched, taking in the scene with her own eyes. Her journey wasn't over. Alopecia would be part of her life forever, with unpredictable cycles of loss and regrowth, but she faced the future with confidence. Sometimes the most painful experiences led to unexpected growth, and sometimes the people who hurt us the most became the unlikely catalysts for our greatest transformation.